Hi, it's time for Street Talk, your voice and your views on the issues in the news. Should a person's HIV status be a factor in immigration decisions? The Australian Prime Minister John Howard says migrants and refugees infected with HIV should not be allowed to migrate to Australia. Mr. Howard made the comments in response to a study which found an increase in the number of HIV-positive people moving to the country. AIDS organisations, however, say the figures are misleading. They have also condemned the remarks as racist and accused the Prime Minister of vilifying people with the disease. Now, many of you were eager to weigh in on this topic, and Colin in Bridlington in the United Kingdom agrees with Mr. Howard's sentiments and writes, if Australia ever spread a disease from its own borders, then their countrymen and women should be banned from travelling outside Australia. Prevention is better than cure. Preventing the spread of a deadly disease is eminently practical. Daniel in Canada believes limiting migration will benefit Australia in more ways than one. Australia has a serious immigration problem. There are too many people going there, and it's destroying ecosystems unlike any in the rest of the world. Anything to control AIDS is understandable, and anything to restrain migration is also probably a good idea. Brittany in London is appalled at the behaviour of the Prime Minister and believes there are better ways to deal with the issue. The Prime Minister of Australia is a bigot, and his speeches and actions in the last few years attest to this. It also shows how uninformed the public is about AIDS. In order to combat this terrible disease, we must educate ourselves first. Now, the debate on whether Muslim women should be allowed to wear the veil or hijab in public has thus far been limited to Western nations. But now that discussion has shifted to Egypt, a predominantly Muslim country, where 75% of Muslim women wear the hijab. Two Egyptian anchor women, Hala El-Malki and Ghada El-Tawil, have been fighting since 2002 with their employers to be allowed to wear the hijab while working. The anchor women took their fight to the civil court, which ruled in their favour in 2003. However, their employers refused to comply with the court order and continues to exclude them from national television broadcasts. The two women also took their fight to the state court. It also ruled in their favour in 2005, but to no avail. With the support of human rights organisations, the two television presenters are making their case an international affair in hopes of changing perceptions and returning to the anchor desk. Mohammed in Blenheim in New Zealand is disappointed with the way the Egyptian judicial system is handling the case. Here in New Zealand, women can wear the hijab to work with no problem, and this is not a Muslim country. What a weak and pathetic court of law that exists in Egypt, where an employer can ignore a court ruling. I think it is better to live the life of a Muslim in a non-Muslim country where we get more respect. Shame on Egypt. Anthony in England isn't surprised and offers his very candid take on the matter. Women may have rights in Egypt, but as in most places, including the United Kingdom, it is still a man's world. Sorry, girls. Baseball cards, stamps, coins, just some of the more popular items people like to collect. But have you ever heard of someone collecting telephones? Zhang Dafang has built a large collection of telephones of different ages and shapes that he wishes to offer to a museum. Turning his back on newer, sleeker cell phones, he says his passion lies with the older models. Zhang's entire collection cost him thousands of dollars and his job. He worked at a bank, but because he often found himself in the antique market rather than at the office, he was told to leave. The oldest phone that Zhang owns was manufactured in 1900. He took out a loan to buy a $3,000 phone from Russia. Zhang said the fun part about collecting was gaining knowledge and sharing it with other people. Zhang wants to donate his entire collection to any museum anywhere in the world that would value it. Now, we've all experienced a brain freeze after eating ice cream, but the look of horror on this baby's face is, well, priceless. Let's take a look.
Do you want a bite? Do you want a bite? Was that cold?
Trust the baby to tell it like it is. That's it. Until next time, do keep sending in your questions and comments and point us to anything interesting or amusing for Street Talk. Remember, what you see here isn't necessarily the view of Al Jazeera. Some of the content has been edited, but for time and space reasons only. And that's the talk on the street.
Don't